Nancy Waugh, this is CBC's senior manager for journalistic standards and principles, agreed with honest reporting and wrote that my tweet, and I quote, this is Nancy, did not contain the level of context that we expect to meet our standards. Context. So they wanted me to include the lie in my tweet. They wanted me to play the game that I'm calling these days Israel Says. It's kind of like Simon Says, except if you don't listen, the consequences are much, much higher. You see, journalism in this country, particularly in the past 18 months, and I've been invited here today to speak about journalism vis-a-vis Palestine and the journalists that Israel has killed. Particularly in the past 18 months, has just become the journalist becoming the spokesperson for the spokesperson. And so the reason I tell you this story is because as Israel kills one journalist every 3 days in Gaza, that's the number, and we're at 208 right now. It's because all of this is connected. While Israel kills journalists who are bearing witness over there, managers and executives punish and penalize journalists who are telling the truth over here. Journalism is in a crisis of truth. Not only has Israel killed more than 200 Palestinian journalists in Gaza, it has also killed journalism itself. And what's worse is that we're allowing it to do it. Truth is becoming sacrificed at the altar of balance. There is no balance here in this story. There is a stretch of land that is 25 miles long and that has been bombed with 87,000 tons of bombs. There's no balance here in this story. The problem is that we begin from a place of mistrust. And you were speaking earlier about this is our colleagues. You see, we don't see people in Gaza as our colleagues. Certainly not in my profession, not in journalism. We doubt them when they tell us, when they show us shredded children. We doubt if they're actually journalists who died. That's another thing that you see happening a lot. Well, were they really a journalist? Well, what outlet did they work for? Blah, blah, blah. And I want to start with reading out a sentence to you. So sentences such as Palestinians say. What does that sentence do for you as an audience when you see that written or hear a host say such a thing? The point of that sentence is to induce doubt. So they say. Palestinians say. No. Their bodies say. Their amputated limbs say. Their bombed out buildings say. Their shredded and singed bodies say. And all the while, us journalists stand in the middle like monkey stenographers and they go, what do you think? What do you think? And then we stand in the middle and go, that's what they think. What does that do for you as an audience? Does that help you in any way? Does that give you any sort of understanding of the context of what is going on in Gaza? No. Including the lie is not context. They want me to include the lie. It does nothing but disservice to the public. There are so many confused people out there right now. I'm sure a lot of you talk to people who tell you, I don't know what to believe. And that's the point. The point isn't that you believe the lie. The point is that you don't believe anything. I'm going to read a sentence to you and I want you to listen really carefully. Since the war in Gaza began, armed Israeli settlers, often accompanied by the army, have stepped up seizures of land long used by Palestinians. I'm going to read that sentence to you again, just the last part. Land long used by Palestinians. What the fuck does that even mean? That's the New York Times. That's the New York Times on June 6, 2024, trying to avoid saying the word Palestine. Palestine is the land long used by Palestinians. All those those words just not to say the word Palestine. I mean, we're taught as journalists, brevity, keep it simple, stupid. How are we to protect and respect a people when we don't even recognize their place? When we don't even utter the word? When we engage in erasure at this sort of institutional level, at the levels of government, I mean, look at our own government here in Canada. For years, it says it's committed to its two-state solution, but it won't recognize the other state. How do you do that? I mean, it's a level of idiocy that you have to laugh, because if you don't laugh, you'll just cry. You just cry. The level of absurdity is mind-boggling. How somebody could stand in front of you and say, we believe in a two-state solution, but we can't recognize the other state. One of the most difficult things to do right now as a writer or a journalist is to try and even figure out what it is that you're going to focus on today. I wake up in the morning every day and I think, what am I going to focus on? There's just so much flying at you. Every 10 to 15 minutes, it's another death, it's another building, it's another lie. Should I talk about the blood mixed with the flour in the latest massacre, or should I talk about the little boy that was hanging off the side of the roof with his sister in the foreground and his dad killed over there? I've seen the human body in ways I never thought it could ever be contorted into. I've seen skulls flapping in the wind. Things none of us should ever have to see. And yet, I am here to speak with you about journalists, about Palestinian journalists, the ones risking their lives every day to show us these images, the ones that we doubt and the ones that Israel kills. More than 200. The number it's inconceivable. And that's the point, isn't it? When evil doing falls like raindrops, like Bertolt Brecht said. I mean, when everyone is guilty, it's very difficult to hold anyone to account because you just don't know where to start. Right now, in this hour, as I'm speaking with you, the city of Toronto is holding its second public consultation on a proposal for a new bylaw. Right now it's doing it to create bubble zones in our city where people can't protest. We never had such proposals in this city ever. Everywhere around the world, you're seeing new laws being proposed and enacted in order to stifle speech, in order to stifle protest. All this so that genocide can continue unabated, and so that those who are in favor of what Israel is doing can feel comfortable as they shill for it. Because they don't want to have a mirror held to them. On campuses, they want to be comfortable. On Parliament Hill, they want to be comfortable. In newsrooms, they want to be comfortable. We want a comfortable and civil genocide to take place.